Everything is about to fall apart, and no one sees it coming. Episode 7 of the Gilded Age Season 3 promises not just scandal, but complete social destruction. Loyalties are tested, secrets are dragged into the light, and a single book threatens to destroy the lives of New York's most powerful families. If you thought the drama peaked in Episode 6, you might want to sit down because Episode 7 might be the moment everything changes forever. Episode 7 begins in the shadow of chaos. The accident from Episode 6 is still fresh, and Oscar is visibly shattered. The trailer shows him lost in thought, holding old photographs of himself and John Adams, the man he wasn't supposed to love, but did. His grief is not just personal, it's dangerous. In a society where reputation is everything, Oscar cannot afford to mourn openly. Yet, despite every warning, he breaks down in Marian's arms. It's raw, it's painful, and it reveals just how deeply he cared. But this emotional unraveling might have consequences, especially as rumors begin to swirl about John Adams's fortune. Did Oscar inherit anything? Is he suddenly wealthy again? And more importantly, who else knows? Meanwhile, the elite are facing their own crisis. Ward Mallister's controversial book is spreading through high society like wildfire. In the trailer, we see Mrs. Astor, Bertha Russell, and Mrs. Fish, women who are usually rivals, meeting in secret. Their expressions are cold, their words sharp. The book has exposed secrets no one wanted public. Customs, gossip, even hidden scandals. It's all in print now. And they must decide how to stop Mallister and who to blame. The title of this episode, Excommunicated, says everything. Someone will be cast out. Someone's reputation will not survive. And while the upper class scrambles for control, the tension inside the Russell household reaches a boiling point. There's a mole, someone leaking information, and suspicion is spreading. Could it be Andre, the maid who seems to know too much? Or is it someone even closer? Every glance is suspicious. Every word questioned. Bertha is furious. George is silent, but dangerous. The trust that once held the household together is crumbling. Then there's Marian and Larry, the couple that should have had everything. Now they are barely speaking. Marian feels betrayed. Larry feels blindsided. The trailer shows them both struggling to make sense of what happened. Marian insists it's over, yet Larry isn't ready to give up. He blames Bertha for their breakup, but what if he's wrong? What if the real problem is deeper, rooted in pride, in secrets, and in fear of scandal? Marian refuses to hear Larry's explanation, but the question remains, did she ever really trust him? Or was she just waiting for an excuse to walk away? Elsewhere, Peggy and William's love story is also under threat. Their relationship has been quiet, peaceful, until now. In the sneak peek photos, they're shown enjoying a picnic, unaware that danger is closing in. William's mother, Elizabeth, is ready to destroy everything. Armed with information about Peggy's past, the child she lost, the secret she never got to explain, Elizabeth will use it to drive a wedge between them. And based on what we've seen before, William may fall for it. Remember when Peggy tried to tell him the truth, and he refused to listen? That wasn't just stubbornness. It was a warning. In this world, love is fragile, and secrets are weapons. Even Gladys and Hector, who seem to be growing closer, are now under the spotlight. Their relationship, once a quiet subplot, is now full of questions. Is Gladys truly falling in love? Is Hector sincere? Or is there something darker behind his charm? In one image, he's standing close, too close, and Gladys doesn't pull away. But in a society obsessed with appearances, will their closeness lead to scandal? And finally, the one thing no one is talking about, but everyone fears. Mr. Mallister's book may contain more than gossip. It may hold the truth about the mole in the Russell home, about Bertha's rise to power, about secrets that could ruin families. And if Mrs. Armstrong has her way, the woman who never misses a chance to gossip, those secrets will not stay buried for long. This is only the beginning. Episode 7 promises confrontations, heartbreak, and revelations that could change the course of every storyline. And the question now isn't who will survive, but who will be excommunicated first. As we head deeper into episode 7, the cracks in New York's high society grow wider. What used to be subtle tension has now turned into open conflict. The Van Ryn household, once seen as a symbol of stability, becomes a place of confrontation and emotional turmoil. Marian is at the center. She's trying to keep herself together after the breakdown of her relationship with Larry, but nothing feels steady anymore. In the trailer, we catch a glimpse of her collapsing emotionally. Tears, frustration, and the feeling of being trapped by choices that weren't entirely hers. It's a moment that reveals not just heartbreak, but regret. Marian trusted the wrong people, made decisions too quickly, and now she's realizing the consequences. Ada, ever the loyal support, tries to comfort her, but even that bond is strained. Marian no longer knows who to lean on. In another brief shot, we see her looking up at Oscar, disheveled, possibly drunk, clearly devastated. Oscar is dealing with his own grief, but Marian has to wonder, can she even help him when she can't save herself? And just beyond their walls, society is watching, judging, and waiting for someone to fall. Over at the Russell estate, Bertha is preparing for war, but this time, it's not about ballroom invitations or lavish parties. It's about betrayal inside her own walls. Someone has been leaking information, personal, damaging, and precise. The mole knows details that no outsider could possibly know. And Bertha's patience is running out. Andre is the obvious suspect, but the timing of the leaks suggests something more complex. There's a theory floating in the fandom that this mole isn't working alone, and may have ties to Mr. Mallister's tell-all book. If that's true, the goal isn't just to embarrass Bertha. It's to destroy her completely. And yet, Bertha isn't the only one in danger. Ward Mallister, whose book set all of this chaos in motion, is beginning to realize he may have gone too far. In one of the new photos, we see him visiting Bertha, a bold and dangerous move. Is he there to apologize? To warn her? Or to dig for more information? The consequences of his book are spiraling out of control, and even he can't predict who will be ruined next. But one thing is certain, his status in society is finished. Excommunicated. The very title of the episode seems to reflect his fate, and perhaps the fate of others who cross the wrong people. Meanwhile, Peggy and William's love story, once a rare source of hope in a world filled with scheming and social climbing, now stands on the edge of collapse. William's mother, Elizabeth, is no longer just suspicious. She's in action. With the help of her old friend Ernestine Brown, she uncovers Peggy's painful past. And instead of approaching Peggy with understanding or compassion, Elizabeth weaponizes the truth. Her goal is clear: to end her son's relationship by any means necessary. When William hears the news, he's shaken, but instead of turning to Peggy, he pulls away. The same man who once promised to protect her now can't even face her. And Peggy, once again, is left alone, haunted by a past that refuses to stay buried. Back in the social circles of the elite, Mrs. Astor is plotting her next move. The exposure from Mallister's book is personal. Her private affairs, once guarded by a wall of wealth and status, are now public. Her alliances shift quickly. She joins forces with Bertha and Mrs. Fish, not because she trusts them, but because she has no choice. Together, they try to take control of the narrative. If they can discredit Mallister, perhaps they can contain the damage. But trust is fragile, and betrayal is everywhere. How long can this fragile alliance hold? In a lighter but equally suspicious subplot, we see Mr. Borden running, literally, through the streets. No one knows why, but the theory is that his secret is about to be exposed. He's not the real French chef he claims to be, and in a city where image is everything, such a lie could ruin him. Could Mallister's book be the reason he's running? Could his name be in those pages? And if so, who else's secrets are written there, waiting to explode? Then there's Gladys and Hector. Their closeness continues to grow. They're seen together again, this time in more private settings. Her interest in the estate has given Hector a reason to be near her, to guide her. But the question remains, what are his intentions? Is he genuine, or is he using Gladys's trust for his own advantage? Fans are divided. Something Hector is finally showing his true colors. Others believe this romance could be real, but history isn't on their side. If the series follows the real-life inspiration, divorce is in their future. Yet, the creators might surprise us. Maybe this couple will defy the odds. Or maybe tragedy waits just around the corner. As all these storylines twist and tighten, one thing becomes clear: Episode 7 is the tipping point. Everyone has something to lose. And by the end, someone will. Betrayals, secrets, heartbreak, none of it can be hidden forever. And as we move closer to the finale, the question becomes not just what will happen, but who will be left standing when it does. With everything in motion, Episode 7 becomes a powder keg ready to explode. What began as whispered gossip has turned into full-blown warfare. And now, each character must make a choice: fight for control or be swept away by the storm. The old rules no longer apply. Power is shifting, and those who once ruled from behind closed doors now find themselves exposed in the harsh light of public scandal. Bertha Russell, who has fought tooth and nail to climb to the top of society, now faces her greatest threat, not from an enemy outside, but from the betrayal within her own household. The identity of the mole is still unknown, but suspicions are tearing the Russell estate apart. Bertha is no longer just suspicious. She's angry, calculating, and prepared to act. In this episode, her strength will be tested like never before. She has wealth, she has influence, but for the first time, she doesn't have control. And Bertha, without control, is dangerous. Meanwhile, George Russell, usually the calm force behind Bertha's ambitions, begins to show signs of doubt. His anger over Bertha's push for Gladys to marry the Duke still simmers beneath the surface. Now, as Larry suffers heartbreak and Bertha faces scandal, George must decide where his loyalties truly lie: with his wife's relentless ambition or with the family he's tried to protect. In the trailer, we catch a moment of George fueling Larry's anger, suggesting Bertha is to blame for his breakup with Marian. This isn't just a family dispute. It's the start of a divide that could split the Russells from within. Oscar, still grieving John Adams, is lost. In a society that forbids him from openly mourning the man he loved, Oscar's pain is quietly consuming him. The trailer shows him in a fragile state, comforted by Marian, but unable to mask the truth any longer. There are whispers that John Adams may have left Oscar part of his fortune. If true, Oscar's financial troubles could vanish, but at what cost? Accepting that inheritance could expose his relationship with John, and in this world, exposure means exile. Oscar faces a choice: reclaim his status through wealth or protect what little privacy he has left. And Marian, oh, Marian, once so sure of herself, now trapped in a web of her own making. Her swift decision to end things with Larry, her refusal to hear him out, it all comes crashing down. The trailer suggests a moment of reflection, even regret. She watches Larry from a distance, sees him visit her workplace, trying to reconnect. But the damage might be too great. Marian has always wanted independence, but she's learning that independence often comes with loneliness. Will she allow Larry back into her life, or has her pride already sealed their fate? On the edge of this emotional chaos, Peggy faces her own reckoning. Her past, buried deep, is now being used against her. William's cold reaction to the news of her lost child cuts deep. He doesn't ask for her side. He doesn't listen. Instead, he withdraws, leaving Peggy to face the pain alone again. Elizabeth's plan to sabotage their love is working, but there's still hope. Peggy is strong, and if William finds the courage to see the truth, maybe their story isn't over. But the clock is ticking, and Elizabeth's influence is growing. In the social world, alliances are breaking down. Mrs. Astor, Bertha, and Mrs. Fish's uneasy partnership begins to crack. As the fallout from Mallister's book spreads, blame is passed around like poison. Mrs. Astor wants to destroy Mallister's reputation, but Bertha has her own agenda. She doesn't just want revenge, she wants power. And if that means sacrificing Mallister or anyone else in her way, she will. The question is, can Bertha outmaneuver her enemies while holding her own world together? And through it all, Gladys and Hector's relationship slowly shifts. In private, they are growing closer. The photos hint at intimacy, at trust. But for Gladys, this new connection is risky. Hector may be kind, but he's not part of her world. Their growing bond could create scandal. And with Lady Sarah out of the picture, all eyes are on Gladys. Will she follow her heart, or will the pressure of society force her to walk away? Then comes the final twist, the unexpected moment that could change everything. Mr. Mallister, whose book started this chaos, appears once more. His face is weary, his reputation shattered. But there's something in his eyes, defiance, perhaps a final secret. The trailer hints that he visits Bertha again. Why? Is he delivering a threat or a warning? Could there be more in his book that he hasn't yet revealed? One more secret that could bring down someone powerful? And Mrs. Armstrong, the ever-watchful servant, has the book in her hands. Her eyes scan every page, her mind already racing with new gossip. But this time, what she learns might not just cause drama, it might trigger a collapse. As episode 7 draws to a close, the city stands on a knife's edge. Every secret revealed, every lie exposed, brings us closer to a final reckoning. Relationships are breaking. Power is slipping. And the question now is not who will win, but who will survive. Because in the Gilded Age, no one stays on top for long.